Have you ever noticed how the smallest things in life often turn out to be the ones that save us? How a single breath can calm a storm inside your chest. How one whisper of hope can drown out 1,000 fears. How one small step, just one, can begin a journey you once thought impossible? We dream in mountains, yet we move in inches. And maybe that's the hidden miracle of being human. So let me ask you, what if your life changes not when you leap, but when you finally begin? There is an old story about a traveler, a young man who once stood at the base of a giant mountain. A mountain people feared, a mountain people admired, a mountain people claimed only the strong could conquer. He wasn't strong, not by any known measure. He wasn't rich, he wasn't skilled, he wasn't confident. But he had a longing to see the world from a higher place, a longing to discover what waited beyond the clouds. But the mountain stood like a wall, and he like a whisper. Every morning, he stared at it. He imagined the climb. He imagined himself failing, slipping, falling, being laughed at. The idea terrified him so much that he did nothing. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. And every sunrise asked him the same silent question. Will you take one step today? One morning, tired of feeling small, he finally said, maybe I can't climb the mountain, but I can walk to that first stone. And so he did. One step, just one. Nothing grand, nothing heroic. But it was real. And strangely, making that step felt like opening a locked door. The next day, he took 2. The day after, 3. Still slow, still ordinary. But movement has its own kind of magic. Once it begins, it rarely stops. As the traveler kept climbing, something changed. Not the mountain, but him. His breath became steadier. His legs grew stronger. His fear, once loud, became a background hum he could walk past. He learned something profound. Small steps don't ignore the mountain. They simply refuse to be intimidated by it. And the mountain, that silent giant, did what all mountains eventually do. It surrendered to the man who dared to keep moving. You see, we often forget this truth. We look at our own mountains, the habits we want to change, the dreams we want to pursue, the wounds we want to heal, and we freeze. We say, it's too big. I'm not ready. What if I fail? What if everyone sees me fall? But life has never asked you to climb everything at once. Life has only ever asked for the next step. Not perfection, just progress. Not speed, just presence. Not the whole path, just the courage to begin. Think about it. How do rivers carve valleys? Drop by drop. How do trees break through stone? Cell by cell. How does dawn overcome the night? Ray by gentle ray. Everything great in nature moves the same way. Softly, slowly, patiently, but always forward. So why do we expect ourselves to grow only through dramatic leaps and sudden transformation? Why do we shame ourselves for being beginners? Why do we forget that every master was once someone who simply refused to stop taking tiny steps? Small steps are powerful because they bypass fear. Fear can defeat your ambition for tomorrow, but it cannot defeat the action you take today. A small step is humble enough to begin and strong enough to continue. Let me tell you about someone in the real world. Someone you might recognize. Her name is Maya. For years, Maya felt trapped in a life that felt too heavy for her heart. She dreamed of becoming a writer, but every time she opened a blank page, she froze. She compared herself to authors she admired. She said, I will never be that good. I don't know enough. I'm not gifted enough. So she did what so many of us do. She postponed her dream until one day. But one day never came. Then, something happened. Nothing dramatic. No sudden burst of inspiration. Just a small decision. One evening, she told herself, "I will write for 5 minutes, not for a book, not for an audience, not for perfection, just 5 minutes for myself." 5 minutes. A step so small, her fear couldn't argue with it. The next day, she wrote again. 5 minutes, then 7, then 10. Some days, she wrote 1 paragraph. Some days, she wrote 1 sentence. And some days, she wrote nothing. But she stayed connected to the habit. She didn't punish herself. She simply returned again the next morning. 1 year later, Maya completed her first book. A book that now inspires thousands of people who struggle with self-doubt. A book that almost never existed because she believed her steps were too small to matter. But they mattered more than she ever imagined. Because consistency, not intensity, is what builds miracles. Maya did not succeed because she was the best. She succeeded because she kept going when most people quit. And that could be you. That could be your story. That could be your quiet victory waiting to happen. So now, breathe. Let your shoulders drop. Let the noise inside you soften. And hear this clearly. Your small steps are not weakness. They are wisdom. They are your anchor, your beginning, your rebirth. Every mountain can be moved. Every dream can be built. Every version of yourself can be rewritten. One gentle step at a time. Today, you do not need to run. You do not need to impress anyone. You do not need to transform overnight. Today, you only need to begin. Or begin again. Because small steps compound. Small steps accumulate. Small steps open doors you cannot yet see. And one day, without even noticing, you will look back and whisper, "I made it, and I made it slowly." So take a breath, take your time, and take your next step, no matter how small. The mountain is waiting, but so is your strength, and both will rise with you.